Well, this book came about almost as an accident because I was actually engaged in writing the third part of my trilogy that is called Krishna Parameshwara after having written the first two parts. And those parts are done quite well. And I was writing with Bloomsbury. Then suddenly I got a call from the editor who said that, can you do this? Because I have seen a lot of your articles, which have been very popular. In fact, one of my articles had done almost a million views on the subject immediately after the annulment of Article 370, or rather what I like to call it, the nullification of Article 370, because Article 370 is technically not repealed. It still exists in the Constitution of India. The only thing is that what it reads is completely different from what it used to read earlier. It now simply reads that all the articles of this Constitution shall be applicable to the state state of Jammu and Kashmir. I don't know whether it is state or a union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Well, that's what it says now. So that technically makes it impossible for anyone to reintroduce Article 370, because you have to go through the amendment process if you want to reintroduce Article 370 into the Constitution. And poor people who keep demanding restoration of Article 370, maybe they don't realize that, or maybe they think that even if they say it, the people will not realize it. So that's how this whole narrative is unfolding now. Now, why I thought it was important at that point, of course, I was telling you that Bloomsbury called me and they wanted me to write it very quickly. They gave me a month and a half to write it. And well, I was able to do it in 20 days. I wrote this book flat in 20 days. I was working about 8 hours a day. And that was, of course, I was also working for the government at that time. And I was working about 8 hours a day, and I finished it in 20 days, and I gave it to them. And I think a few days, only about a week after that, I think we were struck by Corona, and everything stopped. So all that extra endeavor and that extra effort that I put in, all that came to naught. So everybody got relaxed, and then finally, the book was proofread and completed only around August. And in September, I think September first week, they they listed it on Amazon, and they gave it a date of release. I don't remember what the date of release was. Probably was in October. No, sorry, the date of release was in September. It was listed in July. And then what happened was that Bloomsbury did something very funny. They deplatformed that book on Delhi riots on the day of its launch, and I took offense to that, and I gave them 24 hours notice. I said that if you don't undo this, because I will not permit this white man's burden to Indian writers, just because somebody like William Dalrymple and his cohorts have taken offense to it, and they object to certain things or certain individuals being present in the launch. And if you do this, then I will withdraw my book. Well, they thought I was just doing what is called Geedal Bhakti, but they didn't do it, and I withdrew my book. So that actually resulted in a delay, then, because I then gave it to Garuda Prakashan to relaunch it, and it was finally launched in December. The good thing, or the fortunate thing about this book, is that it's been in the public space for nearly 9 months, and there hasn't been a week during this 9 month when it has not been with the tag of #1 bestseller, at least on Amazon. So I was actually amazed by the response that we got. The book was, as I've actually mentioned in my preface, I said that it is not meant for the scholar, but the scholars seem to be finding it. I think there are more scholars approving this than otherwise. because of the number of references and the number of facts that have been given, and I haven't actually got any kind of rebuttal on this, except for some people just saying that, okay, loosely condemning it without saying anything. But that, of course, that doesn't count for an opinion. I trace this back to, in fact, it is in two parts. There is the nullification of Article 370, and there is the enactment of CAA. But of course, I regret to say that the CAA still remains unfinished agenda because they have not implemented it, and it was something what they did. They backed the U-turn that they did in Shaheen Bagh actually fits the pattern, that gangsters' method of politics. And in the very first chapter, I quoted one of the rare intellectuals in the RSS, H.V. Seshadri. He wrote a book that is called The Tragic Story of Partition. And in that tragic story of partition, of course, he blamed most of it on the Congress. And he said something that I think I must read out from here. And that kind of defines the complete discourse of what we call the Muslim politics. And it was fittingly, or very, very, I should say, ironically, it was reproduced by Sitaram Goelji, whom the RSS doesn't like at all. And he wrote a book called Muslim Separatism, Causes and Consequences, and came out in 1995. To start with, we want to take up what we consider to be its most important contribution, namely the unraveling of two behavior patterns. It's talking about pre-independence politics. Muslim and national, which collaborated closely for years and precipitated partition in the final round. The Muslim behavior pattern was characterized by acrimony, accusations, complaints, demands, denunciations, and street riots. I think that this is the most important part of the book. This sets the tone. I'll repeat it. The Muslim behavior pattern was characterized by acrimony, accusations, complaints, demands, denunciations, and street riots. This is Shri H.V. Seshadri being quoted by Shri Sitaram Goel. Then he says the national behavior pattern, on the other hand, was characterized by acquiescence, assent, cajolery, concessions, cowardice, self-reproach, and surrender. Now, when I wrote this, at that time, I did not realize that this will come to pass so soon. And it happened during CAA, where you found the almost, it's unsaid, but the surrender is there. It is not complete as yet because it is still hanging, but we know that the rules of the CAA have not come out. And it's going to be nearly 2 years. I think in 2 months from now, it will be 2 years to the act, this Citizenship Amendment Act. And the rules are yet to be written. So this is, again, I should say, that's another tribute to the gangsters' method of politics, which Dr. Ambedkar so applauded, I should say. He said that very clearly. And of course, this first part is on CAA, and the second part is on Article 370. And Article 3 CAA, I took the entire background of the partition politics and the number of facts which have not been brought into common knowledge and which people are confused about, because the history, even of the modern history, modern Indian history, even the history of independence has been whitewashed. Simple thing like the non-cooperation movement. The non-cooperation movement is said to have been launched by Mahatma Gandhi and by the Indian National Congress. The fact is very different. The fact is that the non-cooperation movement was launched by the Khilafat Committee on the 1st of August 1920. And Congress joined it formally after a CWC meeting on, I think, 12th or 13th September. So this whole independence movement baloney that they talk about, and they give all the credit to the Indian National Congress and to Mahatma Gandhi, is framed in this fact that Congress was merely hopping on to a cause which they thought, or rather Mahatma Gandhi thought, would make him popular among masses and would cement his position in the Congress. So I have characterized this as an opportunistic project and not a national project. You may differ with me, but that's my take. Because the facts speak like this. And we see that. We see that when Mopla uprising, the Mopla massacre as we know it now, happened, then something like 10,000 Hindus were massacred. The non-cooperation movement was not called off. But when 22 British soldiers, out of which about 11 or 12 happened to be Muslims, they got killed by a mob, which was again a mixed mob. It wasn't a Hindu mob as such. It was again a mixed mob. Then he called it off. So that I consider a complete exercise in chicanery and a complete exercise in hypocrisy, and something that was probably happening as if being commanded by somebody else. And in this also, we have seen, I've brought out very clearly as to what effect it finally had on the on bringing about the partition of India. And all those kind of details are there. If I start talking about it, I think it'll take the better part of 3-4 hours. So I will leave it at that. I'll just presume that a lot of people would have read the book. A lot of people who are present here would have read the book, and then those questions can come. Article 370, of course, and again, I flagged this entire business of how Article 370 came about, the entire background of the 7 exoduses. In fact, 5 of them had happened before independence. The latest one, which had happened, was actually in 1931, when there was a riot by the Muslims in Srinagar, very much within the Dogra rule. And that became the cause of the 5th Exodus. Not very many people know it. And then, of course, the 6th Exodus started after Sheikh Abdullah took over, and 7th, of course, we know very well, 1989-90. I think almost everybody knows the 7th Exodus. That was only the 7th one. And I have chronicled the entire history starting from, in one chapter, I have encapsulated that history from Lalitaditya Muktapir to Shah Mir to all the other tyrants, including Sikandar Butchikan and the Durrani Empire, the before that Aurangzeb, and all that. Then I have actually talked about the basic problem that the schizophrenia that the Indian state faced after the independence. And on the one hand, they rejected the two-nation theory. On the other hand, they succumbed to Jinnah, conceded partition. If they were actually rejecting the two-nation theory, they did not really, I should say, stand for their conviction at that point of time. And then next, even after the transfer of power had happened, even then in 1950, they, especially Pandit Nehru, got blackmailed by Sheikh Abdullah so beautifully. In fact, throughout his 17 years as Prime Minister, he exhibited a kind of naivete that is rare among top leaders. And he actually conceded the two-nation theory in practice in Kashmir. Then after that, of course, I've chronicled a lot of facts. I've also gone through the entire legal edifice that was built to protect 370, and that ultimately became the tool through which the Article 370 was finally nullified. And then, of course, I have reflected on the general history of the Muslim politics in India, right from the beginning of the Islamic rule. I have touched upon the myth of the peaceful Sufi. I have touched upon the rule of the elite within the Muslim community that makes most of the masses as the slave of the elites. And I've also pointed out why the Indian state is not able to deal with this problem. Precisely because they keep addressing the same way as the Congress has kept addressing it pre-independence. So I think that's a short introduction.
तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, आपने चैप्टर 3 खिलाफत मूवमेंट एंड मालाबार किलिंग्स में एक पॉइंट दिया है कि कादरी तारिक एंड अली मुसलियार, इन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा हेट्रेड फैलाई थी, तो क्या इनके रेजिस्टेंस में किसी हिंदू लीडर ने भी कोई सामने आया था क्या?
आपको आश्चर्य होगा जानकर कि ये जो आपके जो अली मुसलियार और साथ में वो दूसरे जो कुंज अहमद हाजी जो थे, ये और कांग्रेस वाले जब ये मेरे ख्याल से 5 अगस्त को ये नरसंहार शुरू हुआ था एरनाड एरिया में, उसके पहले तक तो दोनों साथ साथ कैंपेन कर रहे थे। आप ये देखिए कि मूर्खता की पराकाष्ठा क्या हो सकती है कि उनको ये पता ही नहीं था कि इनका ध्येय क्या है। वो भारत की स्वतंत्रता के लिए आंदोलन कर रहे थे और उनके साथी जो थे वहां पर जो बहुतायत में थे वो खिलाफत के लिए आंदोलन कर रहे थे। उनको ये लग रहा था कि यहाँ पर हम खलीफा का राज ले आएंगे, और वो सोच रहे थे कि साहब जब खिलाफत कर रहे हैं तो खिलाफत का मतलब ऑपोजिशन होता है। बेसिक लैक ऑफ नॉलेज ऑफ द उर्दू लैंग्वेज। उर्दू में ऑपोजिशन जो होता है वो खिलाफत नहीं होता है, उर्दू में ऑपोजिशन मुखालफत होता है। खिलाफ से होता है मुखालफत और खलीफा से होता है खिलाफत। तो अब इस तरह की जब लीडरशिप हो तो हम उसको क्या कह सकते हैं। और आजकल उसके बाद फिर लेफ्टिस्ट ने पूरा उसको वाइट वॉश करने का प्रोजेक्ट बनाया। अभी हमारे शशि थरूर जी उस दिन कह रहे थे, तो मैंने उनको ट्वीट में लिखा, तो ये तो बताइए कि अगर वो जो थे कि इट वाज ओनली ए कोइंसिडेंस के साथ कि ये तो एक किसान आंदोलन था और चूंकि जमींदार अधिकतर हिंदू थे इसलिए इसको हिंदू का रूप दे दिया गया, तो ऐसा आंदोलन हुआ जिसने 10,000 लोगों की हत्या कर दी। और उसके बाद कुंज मोहम्मद हाजी को अमीर बनाया गया वहां पर। अली मुसलियार जो कादरी थे, कादरी सूफी थे, जो उसके जो मुख्य कर्ता धर्ता थे, और कुंज अहमद हाजी को वहां बनाया गया। उसके बाद उन्होंने वहां स्टैब्लिश कर दी अल दौला। आपको पता है दौला क्या होता है? दौला इज एन इस्लामिक स्टेट। आपको दाइश का मतलब पता है क्या है? दाइश जो एक्रोनिम है, आप जानते हैं ना दाइश क्या है? आइसिस। और दाइश है दौला अल इस्लाम अल सीरिया। तो ये दौला अल इस्लाम आइसिस वहां पर इस्टेब्लिश किया गया था। ये भी मैंने इनफैक्ट अगर आप देखें तो चैप्टर एक मालाबार किलिंग से पहले चैप्टर 2 में मैंने ये लिखा हुआ है कि मैं इसको पढ़ देता हूँ। बाय सीमेंटिंग अ पैक्ट विद द रिलीजियस लीडर्स ऑफ द मुस्लिम्स, क्योंकि उससे पहले जो कांग्रेस की सारी लीडरशिप थी जो वो बात करती थी तो उनकी जो सेक्युलर लीडरशिप थी उससे बात करती थी। महात्मा गांधी फिर से रिलीजियस लीडरशिप के पास चले गए। महात्मा गांधी अचीव द फॉलोइंग, देखिए मैंने क्या लिखा है। नंबर 1, a recognition that Muslims would be approached only through their religious leadership. अब इसको आज के दिन से भी आप थोड़ा सा आज भी तुलना करें कि क्या ये आज भी हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है. So he actually made it formal that Muslims would be approached only through their religious leadership. Number two, a recognition that Muslims would prefer religious issues, however regressive, to secular issues like home rule or Swaraj. Number three, a concession of respect for Islam to Muslims in the form of inclusion of Islam in Sarva Dharma Samabhav as a dharma. Because Sanatanis never regarded Islam as a dharma. They always regarded it as adharma or vidharma. And they steadfastly stuck to their principle of exclusivity of ummat. ये वन साइडेड कंसेशन हो गया. We are inclusive, but they remain exclusive. तो ऐसे में क्या होता है? If there are two parties meeting, one is exclusive, the other is inclusive. So the exclusivists actually take over the inclusivist. As simple as that. And then there is no inclusion left. Then number four, the normalization of the aggressive behavior of Muslims without seeking any concession from them. उनसे आपने कुछ नहीं मांगा और उनका जो aggressive behavior था उसको आपने normalize कर दिया. So this is how I have summarized this. What happened then as a result of this misadventure, the great misadventure of Khilafat movement. And why I have penned this is also because I also see these kind of concessions happening even today.
Sir, the full form of ISIS, Dawla al-Islamiyya fi al-Iraq wa al-Sham.
Al-Sham, yes.
Yeah.
संजय सर नमस्कार सर. मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि आपकी जो अनब्रेकिंग इंडिया है वो हिंदी में कब उपलब्ध हो रही है, और सर आपने टीपू सुल्तान ने जो नरसंहार किया था जब वो उसने मालाबार में और इन सब में, वो भी आपने अपनी बुक में लिखा हुआ है या नहीं?
नहीं, टीपू सुल्तान का तो इसमें कोई प्रसंग था नहीं. टीपू सुल्तान का कोई इसमें संदर्भ का कोई ओकेजन नहीं था. और हिंदी का आई कैन गिव यू द गुड न्यूज़, जो इसका फाइनल प्रूफ था वो मैंने आज ही अप्रूव करके भेज दिया है प्रकाशक को.
Sanjay ji, I would also like you to touch upon the Kashmir, Islamization of Kashmir, when it began and how it transpired.
Yes, it is there, I think, chapter 18 of the book. The Islamization begins again with another misadventure when this guy called Shah Amir was given refuge in Kashmir by its last stable king, King Sahadev of the Lohar dynasty. And as it often happens, Kashmir was very, very small demographically at that point of time, valley. I think the population couldn't have been more than 2.5 lakhs at that point of time. And with his machinations and also some foolishness on part of the people of Kashmir, Hindus of Kashmir, then we had this Renchen, a Buddhist coming from Ladakh, and he wanted to become a Shaiv. He wasn't allowed to. Then out of revenge, he became a Muslim. Then he married the Queen Kuta Devi. Then he died. All that kind of thing, there's about 20 years of tremendous confusion before Shah Mir became the potentate.
So please elaborate the story, this one.
You want me to read it out?
Yeah, you can read it out or tell us the story.
I think Sahadev was king till 1320. Yes, he was there till he gave shelter and position to Shah Amir, who was from Swat Valley. And as it often happens with the Indians, that they think that the other person also follows these same kind of principles that they do. We've seen this repeatedly, and most notably with Prithviraj Chauhan and with Alaya Rama Rai of Vijayanagar Empire. If you remember, what happened in Vijayanagar Empire in the Battle of Talikot was that two of their principal generals he had appointed, they were Afghans, Gilanis, and they defected. And they defected at a point when the battle had almost been won. And they defected and the battle was lost. And Ramarai was so secular that he used to keep another throne next to the throne on which he used to sit, and used to keep the Quran on it. So this is what secularism usually brings about in India, but we don't seem to learn, and we seem to tear into that error again and again. The similar was the error that Sodev got into. And once he died, and then there was a confusion. Then there was this Buddhist who came from Renchen, who came from Ladakh, became a general first. Then he became very influential. Then he wanted to become a Shaiva. He wasn't allowed to. Then he got into the spell of this guy called Bulbul Shah. You must have heard of Bulbul Shah. Bulbul Shah was a Sufi. But there is no Sufi in this world who puts the so-called tariqat. The Sufism is called tariqat in India. And there is no Sufi who puts tariqat over Shariat. So Shariat always prevails. Whenever there is a contest between Shariat and tariqat, Shariat will prevail. So that's something that we never seem to learn. And then he converted this guy. Then somehow he managed to marry in the royal family, Kuta Devi, which the famous queen. Then he died mysteriously. Then Udayan Dev remarried Kuta Devi. He made Shah Amir his general. And finally, Shah Amir managed to take over the state, just like Hyder Ali had taken over the Mysore state. From then onwards, it was downhill. At the point that Shah Amir got into the position, the Muslims there, maybe they were not more than 5%. And I think within another, after his successors, 2 or 3 successors, then he was succeeded by, I think his 4th successor was this guy called Sikandar Butchikan. And Sikandar Butchikan, just before Sikandar Butchikan, the guy called this Shah Hamadan, Ali Shah Hamadan had come. He was a Kubrawi Sufi. So he laid down the 16 rules. I don't know whether you read those 16 rules. If you read the Zimma of Omar, then you would know that the rules of the code of Shah Hamadan is actually the code of Omar. The code of Shah Hamadan. Number 1, the Muslim ruler shall not allow fresh constructions of Hindu temples and shrines. Number 2, no repairs to the existing Hindu temples and shrines shall be allowed. Number 3, Hindus shall not use Muslim names. Number 4, Hindus shall not ride a harnessed horse. Number 5, they shall not move about with arms. Number 6, they shall not wear rings with diamonds. Number 7, they shall not deal in or eat bacon. Number 8, they shall not exhibit idolatrous images. मूर्ति आप बाहर नहीं ले जा सकते. They shall not build houses in neighborhoods of Muslims. Number 10, they shall not dispose of their dead near Muslim graveyards, nor weep, nor wail over their dead. You could not even mourn your dead. They shall not deal in or buy Muslim slaves. No, slavery is an integral part of Islam, even today. The doctrine I'm talking about. 12, no Muslim traveler shall be refused lodging in the Hindu temples and shrines, where he shall be treated as a guest for 3 days by non-Muslims. No non-Muslim shall act as a spy in the Muslim state. Number 14, no problem shall be created for those non-Muslims who on their own will show their readiness for Islam. 15, non-Muslims shall honor Muslims and shall leave their assembly whenever the Muslims enter the premises. And number 16, the dress of non-Muslims shall be different from that of Muslims to distinguish themselves. And now those who have read the rules that Hitler imposed on the Jews, please tell me what is different.
Except for the yellow star, everything is the same.
And of course, add the jizya. The jizya, of course, is not written here because jizya is a part of the Shariat itself. 9.29, Quran 9.29. So that lays down the basic relationship or siyar with the non-believers. So it is in these conditions that the Sanatan Dharma started withering away, and then under Sikandar Butchikan, they imposed complete dominance. That was the time when this Marthand temple was destroyed. A lot of other temples were destroyed. After that, then there was a period of relative calm. And then in the 16th century, there was another tyrant, Fateh Shah. That was the time, this was the time of the first exodus, Sikandar Butchikan. Then time of Fateh Shah, he was influenced by the Nur Bakhshi Sufis. Nur Bakhshi is a Shia sect. So the Nur Bakhshi Sufis, they held sway. The Chaks from the Dardars from the Dardistan, that is what is called the Gilgit-Baltistan today, they became very influential. So that is the time, the second exodus. Then I think around 1580 or so, it came under the Mughals. Then under the Mughals, Jahangir is reputed to have destroyed a part of the Shankaracharya temple, and then Nur Jahan had taken those some building material from there that was destroyed and put it in a mosque in downtown Srinagar. So much for the tolerance of the Mughals. Then Aurangzeb, of course, was Aurangzeb. So during Aurangzeb, that was the third exodus. After Aurangzeb, after a little while, then the Duranis of the Afghanistan and Ahmad Shah Abdali, they captured Kashmir from 1752 to 1819. That was the time of the fourth exodus. Then in 1819, Kashmir was liberated by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And then from 1819 to 1947, it was under Sikh and Hindus. In 1845, the Dogra ruler came. Then 1947, when after independence, Sheikh Abdullah became the prime minister in March 1948. And that's another chapter. Then again, it became a de facto Muslim rule. It's never been a non-Muslim rule in there. And even today, they claim that they have the right to rule there as Muslims, even though the state was actually taken over by India from a Hindu ruler, whatever. So that is the brief history of Kashmir.
I would also like to add, by the way, that Sultan Sikandar Butchikan that he mentions, Butchikan actually means idol breaker, But todne wala. And in fact, it was only after Sangam talks that I discovered that Hindu Kush mountains, Hindu Kush actually means Hindu slayer. They used to take thousands of Hindus on foot to be sold into slavery into Central Asia, and many of them would die over there. So it's basically called Hindu killer, Hindu Kush means.
सज्जा सर से मेरा एक तो सवाल है, एक बात भी बोलना है। सज्जा सर से मेरा सवाल यह है कि अभी तक जब भी तालिबान वहां सरकार बना चुका है, तालिबान आ चुका है और यहाँ 370 की पोजीशन पर ये लोग डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं, तो कृपया करके सज्जा सर डिटेल बतावे कि अब क्या प्रिकॉशन भारत सरकार को लेना पड़ेगा, क्या वो मतलब कि केवल कश्मीर तक ही रहेगा या कश्मीर के आगे भी आएगा। एक तो ये बात हुआ। और संजय जी के बारे में एक व्यक्तिगत बात बताना चाहता, एक बात पुरानी बात याद दिलाना चाहता हूँ कि एक बार एक एबीपी चैनल पर एक प्रोग्राम चल रहा था, उसमें संजय सर ने कहा था एक कमेंट में कि आप लोग बोल रहे थे तो मैंने कुछ नहीं बोला, मैं बोल रहा हूँ तो आप लोग बोल रहे हैं। वहां से बेंचमार्क बना कि आज सारे पॉलिटिकल पार्टी एक दूसरे को इस तरह कर रहे हैं, मैंने एक दूसरे को अपने लाते हैं कि भैया यह मेरा टर्न है। तो संजय जी ने शुरू किया था, आदरणीय संजय दीक्षित जी ने शुरू किया था। और दूसरी बात, मुझे तालिबान और कश्मीर वाला इशू को अगर वो डिस्कस कर देते तो एक मेरा क्वेश्चन था। और एक क्वेश्चन और है, लेकिन वो क्वेश्चन थोड़ा अलग है कि जैसे पंजाब में एक अभी सर्वे आया है, एक चैनल के द्वारा बताया जा रहा है कि एक खास पार्टी की सरकार बन सकती है, और ओसामा बिन लादेन, क्योंकि ओसामा बिन लादेन भी अफगानिस्तान का इशू है, तो ओसामा बिन लादेन ने हामिद बीन को एक बार इंटरव्यू में बोला था कि हमको, मेरा टारगेट है कि पंजाब के युवकों को नशेरी बनाया जाए, और नशेरी बनाया जाए। मैं संगम टॉक्स पर राजीव सिंह जी का एक मतलब लेक्चर सुना था, वही से मैं बात बोल रहा हूँ कि उस ओसामा बिन लादेन ने बोला था हामिद बीन को कि भैया वहां के बच्चों को नशेरी बनाया जाए, और अगर पंजाब के बच्चों को हम नशेरी बना देते हैं तो पंजाब से बंगाल तक हमारा हो जाएगा पूरा पूरा। तो उस पर भी अगर संजय सर तालिबान पर कुछ बोल दे, तालिबान कश्मीर पर, और एक जो मैंने आम आदमी पार्टी के बारे में एक जो सर्वे आया उसमें भी अगर कुछ बोल दे तो ज्यादा अच्छा है।
जी, पहला इशू आपका वो तालिबान वाला मैं ले लेता हूँ कि एक तो हमारी समस्या ये है कि हम तालिबान को समझते हैं कि तालिबान जो है आइडिया ऑफ पाकिस्तान से कुछ अलग है। तालिबान खुद कहती है कि वो एक देवबंदी इदारा है। देवबंद कहाँ है? देवबंद तो हमारे यहाँ ही है। देवबंद की क्या फिलॉसफी है वो आप पढ़ लें तो आप समझ लेंगे कि तालिबान की क्या फिलॉसफी है। देवबंद की फिलॉसफी कहाँ से आती है? देवबंद की फिलॉसफी तो हमारे यहाँ, आप यदि आपने फतावा आलमगीरी पढ़ी हो, हालांकि फतावा आलमगीरी हमको उपलब्ध नहीं कराएगी, जयपुर डायलॉग जब उसका ट्रांसलेशन हिंदी में करा रहा है, शीघ्र उपलब्ध करा देगा। तो ये सारी की सारी फिलॉसफी शुरू होती है, अगर आप उसको आर्टिकुलेशन के हिसाब से देखें तो ये देवबंदी की फिलॉसफी ये ट्रेस करते हैं तो वो शेख अहमद सरहिंदी पर जाती है। और शेख अहमद सरहिंदी का जो एक्टिव कार्यकाल है वो शुरू होता है अकबर के अंतिम दिनों से, और जो मकतूबात हैं उनके जो पत्र व्यवहार है शेख अहमद सरहिंदी का, वो आपका जो बेसिक टू नेशन थियरी का जो आइडिया है वो ले डाउन करता है वहाँ पर। और फिर शेख अहमद सरहिंदी के कारण ही जहांगीर ने सबसे पहले गुरु अर्जुन देव का कत्ल करवाया था, ये मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट है 1606 में। और वो जो फिलॉसफी है एक डोमिनेशन की, एक कंप्लीट इस्लामाइजेशन की, उसी के अलग अलग रूप हैं पाकिस्तान और तालिबान। और इस पुस्तक में मैंने आपको, मैं 1 मिनट में इंडेक्स देख के बता देता हूँ इसका। ये जो आप पूछ रहे हैं इसका जो पूरा उत्तर है वो इस पुस्तक में ही है, उसका आपको कहीं अधिक इधर उधर देखने की आवश्यकता ही नहीं है। और वो है आपका, ये देखिए चैप्टर 36, इम्पैक्ट ऑफ नलिफिकेशन ऑफ आर्टिकल 370 ऑन पाकिस्तान, ये जो है। और इसका फिर चैप्टर 39 है, फेटल ब्लो टू पाकिस्तान न्यू मदीना। और वो आप पार्ट 1 में जो हिस्ट्री ऑफ पार्टीशन मैंने ट्रेस की है, और हिस्ट्री ऑफ पार्टीशन में देवबंद और बरेलवी के बीच में जो टसल हुआ है, पहले आपको वो देवबंदी का जो बता रहा था, वहाँ से जब शुरू होता है, फिर जहांगीर के बाद में उसका जो बेटा है शेख मासूम, वो शाहजहाँ के दरबार में बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट होता है, और वो जो है वो औरंगज़ेब का पीर है, औरंगज़ेब उसका मुरीद है। औरंगज़ेब एक नक्शबंदी है, नक्शबंदी सूफी। और औरंगज़ेब के साथ में उसका पर्सनल कंसॉर्ट के रूप में, मेंटर के रूप में शेख मासूम ने अपने बेटे सैफुद्दीन को उसके साथ में रखा था, और उनकी गाइडेंस में फतावा आलमगीरी फॉर्म हुई थी। फिर उसके बाद जो उसके जो फतावा आलमगीरी के जो रचयिता थे, जो मुख्य रचयिता तो उसके जो है उसके, वो तो शेख निज़ाम बुरहानपुरी थे, लेकिन वो बहुत ओल्ड थे। और जो मेन जो उसके कर्ता धर्ता थे वो शाह अब्दुल रहीम थे, वो भी नक्शबंदी थे। तो आपके शाह अब्दुल रहीम के बेटे थे शाह वलीउल्लाह। शाह वलीउल्लाह का नाम आप लोगों ने संभवतः सुना हो, जो कोई थोड़ा बहुत इंटरेस्ट रखते हैं। शाह वलीउल्लाह वो थे जिन्होंने पानीपत की लड़ाई में आपके अहमद शाह अब्दाली को भारत बुलाया था और उनका समझौता करवाया था नजीबुद्दौला से और आसफुद्दौला से। He was the man who crafted the 1861 बैटल ऑफ पानीपत अगेंस्ट मराठास, क्योंकि उनके अनुसार जो है वो भारत जो है वो दारुल हर्ब बन गया था मराठाओं के अंडर, और उसको वापस दारुल इस्लाम बनाना आवश्यक था। जो शाह वलीउल्लाह की जो लेगेसी है वो अल्टीमेटली देवबंद में रिफ्लेक्ट होती है। और जब बात आती है यहाँ पर इनका स्किज्म कब हुआ बरेलवियों का और उनका, दैट इज 1825 की वो बात है। 1825 में जब इनके जो चेले थे, आपने सैयद अहमद बरेलवी बालाकोट में जिसकी मृत्यु हुई थी उसका नाम सुना होगा। सैयद अहमद बरेलवी, उसका जो साथी था शाह इस्माइल, जो कि शाह अब्दुल अजीज यानी शाह वलीउल्लाह के बेटे का भतीजा था, यानी शाह वलीउल्लाह का पोता था। उनकी दोनों के उन्होंने जिहाद किया, उन्होंने महाराजा रंजीत सिंह के विरुद्ध जिहाद किया और उनका अल्टीमेट प्लान था कि उसको जिहाद करके पूरे भारत को लिबरेट करेंगे, फिर से उसको दारुल इस्लाम बनाएंगे। तो वो बालाकोट में मारे गए 1832 में मेरे ख्याल से। और उनके जो चेले थे आपके मौलाना गंगोही और मौलाना थानवी और मौलाना ननौतवी, इन तीनों ने मिलके 1866 या 1867 में देवबंद में ये अपना दारुल उलूम इस्टेब्लिश किया। और उस समय राजधानी कलकत्ता होती थी, तो उन्होंने बहुत सोच समझ के बहुत दूर इसको इस्टेब्लिश किया। ये अलग बात है कि आज बिल्कुल नज़दीक आ गया है क्योंकि राजधानी दिल्ली हो गई 1911 में। तो ये तो देवबंद का इतिहास है। जो बरेलवी थे उनका और देवबंद का जो डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन है वो और किसी चीज़ में नहीं है। लोग समझते हैं कि साहब जो कहते हैं कि साहब की सूफ़ी पीसफुल होते हैं, मैं उनसे कई बार पूछता हूँ कि भाई ये बता दो कि क्या ये शरीयत को नहीं मानते हैं, या क्या ये क़ुव्वतुल इस्लाम को नहीं मानते हैं, क्या जितने भी बड़े बड़े मैसेकर्स हुए हैं हिंदुओं के उसमें सूफियों का रोल नहीं रहा है? सूफियों का ही रहा है एक्सक्लूसिव रोल। कोई भी दंगा ऐसा नहीं है जिसमें देवबंदी इन्वॉल्व है, ये सब बरेलवियों ने किया, सूफियों ने। लेकिन जो थॉट है बरेलवी का, वो जो अशराफ मुल्ला मौलाना जिनको मैं बोलता हूँ, वो अधिकतर देवबंद में। तबलीगी जमात क्या है? देवबंद का ऑफशूट है वो। तबलीग का मतलब क्या होता है? कन्वर्शन। और उस देवबंद को हमारे यहाँ पूरी मान्यता मिली हुई है। देवबंद सिखाता है, देवबंद कहता है, उनकी किताब है, उनका जो बेसिक ग्रेजुएशन कोर्स है उसमें उनकी अल हिदाया पढ़ाई जाती है। अल हिदाया में कहा हुआ है कि जिहाद दीन हक की ओर बुलाने और उससे इनकार करने वाले से जंग करने को कहते हैं। क्या किसी स्वतंत्र पंथ निरपेक्ष देश में इस प्रकार की शिक्षा दिया जाना किसी भी प्रकार से उचित कहा जा सकता है? पार्टीशन के टाइम पे देवबंद हुसैन अहमद मदनी ने बोला कि हम कौमियत मुत्तहिदा में यकीन रखते हैं। मुत्तहिदा मतलब कॉम्पोजिट नेशन, कौमियत मुत्तहिदा मतलब कॉम्पोजिट नेशन। बरेलवियों ने, सूफियों ने, वैसे तो ये भी नक्शबंदियों के एक सिलसिले के बैत शुदा हैं देवबंदी भी, लेकिन बाकी जो सारे तरीक़े और सिलसिले हैं वो सब बरेलवियों के अंडर में, क्योंकि इनका झगड़ा प्रॉफिट के स्टेटस को लेके है। इनका झगड़ा काफिर के स्टेटस को लेके नहीं है, इनका झगड़ा प्रॉफिट के स्टेटस को लेके है। ये एक प्रॉफिट को डिवाइन कहता है, दूसरा प्रॉफिट को कहता है कि इंसान कामिल है, यानी अ ग्रेट मैन, महापुरुष। ये झगड़े का उसका कारण है। उनके पास इल्म गायब है और वो हाजिर नाजिर हैं, ये बरेलवी कहते हैं। और ये कहते हैं कि नहीं, ये सब जो है वो ये डिवाइन एट्रीब्यूट्स हैं, ये इनके पास नहीं हो सकती, ये तो सिर्फ इंसान कामिल है। तो उससे जो है हम लोग जो हैं वो मूर्ख बने, इसका कोई कारण नहीं है। मैंने पूरा डिटेल दिया हुआ है इसमें, और एक सूफिज्म मिथ एंड रियलिटी पे चैप्टर 40 जो है, ये पूरा एक चैप्टर भी लिखा हुआ है। तो देवबंद ने कहा कौमियत मुत्तहिदा है, बरेलवियों ने कहा कौमियत जुदा गाना है, यानी सेपरेट नेशंस, टू नेशन थ्योरी। बाद में इनमें 1945 में शायद एक ये तकरीर हुई थी, ज्वाइंट तकरीर हुई थी दोनों की, देवबंदियों की और बरेलवियों की, जिसमें हुसैन अहमद मदनी ने साफ साफ कहा था कि हमारी और आपकी जो मंजिल है वो एक ही है। और वो मंजिल क्या है कि इस बर्रे सगीर को पूरे जो है, इसमें हमें पूरे बर्रे सगीर में इस्लाम नाफिज करना है। ये हुसैन अहमद मदनी ने कहा स्वयं। और उसके बाद उनके एक आदमी जो थे वो शबीर अहमद उस्मानी, वो चले गए इनके जिन्ना के साथ में, और दूसरे जो है वो अपने क्या बोलते हैं जमीयत उलेमा हिंद बना के कहते रहे कि साहब हम गांधी जी के साथ में। तो ये सब नाटक बहुत हुए। इसमें जो है वो देवबंद की असलियत क्या है वो जब तक नहीं समझेंगे तब तक आप तालिबान नहीं समझ सकते, तब तक आप पाकिस्तान नहीं समझ सकते। और पाकिस्तान की जो तरबियत है, जो पाकिस्तान चाहता है वही तालिबान चाहता है। आखिरकार तालिबान कहाँ से पैदा हुआ? तालिबान पैदा तो देवबंद का ही है। पाकिस्तान के जितने भी ये तालिबान के जितने भी लीडर हैं ये पढ़े कहाँ हैं? ये पढ़े तो मदरसा हक्कानिया में ही है, जो कि देवबंद का इदारा है। सब मदरसा हक्कानिया वाले हैं ये। अरोक क्या है, अरोका शरीफ, आप सिंध नदी पार करेंगे उसके थोड़ी देर में 30-40 किलोमीटर पे पड़ेगा, काबुल नदी के बगल में। तो जब आप कहते हैं कि साहब कि तालिबान का इसके ऊपर क्या असर पड़ेगा, तो मैं काउंटर क्वेश्चन करता हूं कि आप पाकिस्तान का क्या असर देखते हैं? जो पाकिस्तान का असर है, जो पाकिस्तान की तबीयत है, जो पाकिस्तान की तरबियत है, जो पाकिस्तान के इरादे हैं, वही तालिबान के होंगे। सामान्य सी बात है। और पाकिस्तान के क्या इरादे हैं? आप चैप्टर 36 और चैप्टर 39 पढ़ लें। पार्टीशन के टाइम पे ही इन्होंने बुक ओपनली डिक्लेयर किया था। इनमें क्या झगड़ा था? इनका हमारी मंजिल एक है। एक ने कहा कि साहब कि आप पार्टीशन मत कीजिए, नहीं तो हमें बहुत दिक्कत आएगी बाकी जो भारत बचेगा, हिंदू भारत बचेगा, उसको कन्वर्ट करने में। दूसरों ने कहा नहीं, हम तो सुन्नत, हजरत की सुन्नत फॉलो करेंगे। जिस तरह से हजरत को जब तकलीफ हुई मक्का में और वो मक्का छोड़ के हिजरत करके मदीना चले गए, उसी तरह से हम इस नए मदीने में जाएंगे। ये पाकिस्तान हमारा नया मदीना है। इस नए मदीने में हम हजरत की सुन्नत जैसे उन्होंने की थी और जिस तरह से उन्होंने अपने आप को मजबूत किया था मदीना में, उस तरह से हम मजबूत करके वापस ये दिल्ली वाली जो मक्का है इसके ऊपर हम वापस फतेह करेंगे और कश्मीर उसका रास्ता होगा। फिर कश्मीर को फतेह करने के बाद हम जम्मू करेंगे, फिर हम पंजाब करेंगे, फिर पंजाब जब हम कर लेंगे तो फिर हम दिल्ली करेंगे, फिर दिल्ली जब हम कर लेंगे तो फिर हम हमारा जो मेन एरिया है, यानी जो जहाँ पर अलीगढ़ है, जहाँ पर देवबंद है, जो बरेली है, यूनाइटेड प्रोविंसेस, फिर हम उसको करेंगे। हमें आखिरकार पूरे बर्रे सगीर पर इस्लाम नाफिज करना है। मेरे ख्याल से इससे आपको स्पष्ट हो गया होगा कि तालिबान को न देखें आप पाकिस्तान को देखें। अगर आप पाकिस्तान के इरादे समझ जाएंगे तो आप तालिबान के भी इरादे समझ जाएंगे। तालिबान के इरादे कतई अलग नहीं है। सिर्फ जहां पर वो पश्तून नेशनलिज्म की बात आती है वहां पे उनकी टसल होती है पाकिस्तान से, उसके अलावा कहीं नहीं है।
Any hope of this social cancer to be recovered? How shall we ever control it with Sabka ideology?
We cannot. That is because that is exactly the folly we committed during partition. And as Einstein had said, that repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is simply insanity.
So Sanjay ji, so my one observation, or I just want to share this thing with everybody, that it seems like the history is just coming full circle, repeating itself. Now Taliban in Afghanistan, and somebody will say, boss, you come over to India and make it again, Darul Islam or whatever, then we will have a lot of whatever happens. Second, like now some portions of India are getting into the hands of Christians, especially the southern state of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. And I'm not sure how this is seen by people who still have that, dream of making India a Darul Islam or whatever. So I don't know if you have any opinion about that. That's one. Second is my main question.
I have plenty of opinions, but I don't think that's the subject today.
I know. So, so if time permits, please do share. But anyway, my main question was about, the Northwestern Frontier Province, which played a role, I think, a big role during the independence time and immediately post after that. Second is even Afghanistan, and there is some I don't remember the name, a group in Pakistan which says that, oh, this should be part of Afghanistan because they don't consider Durand line as the line and all of that. And I don't know if that plays into any of this Kashmir politics. So if you have any information, opinion, which you can share, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Well, Durand line is a standing issue, and it is a very important issue as far as the Pashtun ethnicity is concerned. This is one point on which the religious identity has not been able to suppress the ethnic identity. Otherwise, Ummat is supposed to be one, but on this point, it has not been able to suppress the ethnic identity of the Pashtuns, and this is a sore point which that plays out, that fault line plays out again and again, and it is up to India to exploit that. That is point number one. Point number two, if you say Kashmir, I am quite confident that Kashmir, militarily, the situation is completely different as it was after the end of the first Afghan war with the Russians. And the military is quite capable of thwarting the threat from Pakistan or threat from these renegades who come across. My personal opinion is that they would be too caught up with their own internecine battles to be able to concentrate on India for some time. And the TTP will, of course, keep the Pakistanis busy. So that is as far as the military part is concerned. The problem is not there. The problem is that Pakistan is not a territory. Pakistan is an idea. And that idea is present in among large number of people within India. And it gets exacerbated because we do not tackle it head on, and we only talk of what is called politically correct solutions. That's not something that any politically correct solution can tackle, because you saw what happened when America tried to be politically correct. It isn't the American military that lost. It is the American mind that lost. It is the defeat of the American narrative, because the American narrative never caught on to the roots of what Islam thinks.
I wanted a small clarification on one point. It is regarding the 7th appendix, page number 296.
Yeah, Liaquat Nehru Agreement, okay?
Yes, sir. In respect of migrants from East Bengal, West Bengal, Assam and Tripura, where communal disturbance have recently occurred, it is agreed between the two governments that there shall be freedom of movement and protection in transit. So this excludes Punjab. Now, I would like to put my question here that Mr. Tariq Fateh, in one of his talks, mentioned that due to this very pact, due to Liaquat Nehru Pact, non-Muslims were systematically stopped from migrating to India. They were systematically stopped from taking refuge in India. So I wanted your take on it, sir.
Please read the footnote. Can you?
Sure. No.
Under the Liaquat Nehru Agreement, point number G. Please read it. The last point is G.
Except where modified by this agreement, the Inter-Dominion Agreement of December 1948 shall remain in force. There is no footnote.
Yeah, it's G. So Punjab is covered by these Inter-Dominion Agreements.
Sir, could you enlighten us about the Inter-Dominion Agreement between the two countries?
It's written in the where it is discussed. The Inter-Dominion Agreements, a lot of things, earlier anybody could just walk across. Then there were certain Inter-Dominion Agreements which were formalized in 1948, where it was necessary for people to have what is called not exactly passports, but permits. So the permit system was introduced in 1948 through that Dominion Agreement, but the freedom of movement was very much there. And that continues here, that freedom of movement. But Pakistan pulled a fast one. They said that, okay, that because of this, now we do not permit any Muslim to come to India. It is actually a violation of that agreement. And that is why I am on record a number of times. I said that because Pakistan violates the Liaquat-Nehru agreement, and it doesn't want to take any more Muslims from India, and you should also abrogate, annul, or repeal unilaterally the Indus Waters Treaty. Why should we only be sticking to the agreements that we have signed? It's not our burden alone. Annul this agreement. After all, the CAA is what? CAA is actually a movement on this agreement because this agreement has not been implemented in toto. That's why CAA amendment has become necessary. Otherwise, there would be no need. If you look at the Liaquat-Nehru agreement carefully, the CAA only formalizes what is there in this.
संजय जी, मेरा सवाल ये है कि given the present day government, do you think they have the will and the vision to save India from the clutches of jihadi leftist mindset? Let's say 20-30 years down the line, how do you see India? Where would it stand?
I think you hit the nail on the head. This whole situation, this whole battle has to be first fought in the minds. And to be able to fight it in the minds, one has to first grasp it fully. And unfortunately, the kind of statements that are coming from top leaders, they do not inspire much confidence. That shows a complete lack of awareness of what the situation is, what the idea of Pakistan is, how the idea of Pakistan operates in the mind of a populace which actually controls it. It may be only 4 or 5%, but it actually controls through the tool of what is called taqleed. It is described in my book. I don't know whether you've read the book. If you haven't, please do. So through the instrumentality of taqleed, they control the rest of the 95%. So they don't seem to understand that. They're talking of same DNA. The same DNA belongs to the 95% who are obliged to follow that 5% who are supposed to be the elites. In fact, today I tweeted that you don't understand the hierarchy of rights in Islam. The hierarchy of rights in Islam is very clear. Number 1, rights of Allah. Number 2, rights of elites. Then number 3 is the rights of the followers. And then the rights of individuals. Then there are 3 categories which do not matter. That's non-believers, slaves, such categories. So they don't have that basic understanding. What can I do? I'm trying to explain it to them.
So we had this talk by Fayaz Ahmad Faizi ji, Pasmanda Muslims. उन्होंने बहुत elaborate किया how they are used. You know, they are used as battle fodder.
Fayaz Ahmad was first brought on to Jaipur Dialogues only.
So उनसे पूछा गया कि अगर आपको पता है कि ऐसे यूज हो रहे हैं और ऑप्रेस हो रहे हैं, तो फिर आप लोग have you ever considered aligning with Hindu organizations और घर वापसी? तो मुझे समझ नहीं आती, मेरे को आइडियोलॉजी नहीं समझ आती. On one hand, they will insist on converting, and then they will not give them equal status, the Ashraf. The Pasmandas, they will convert. They will say that we are being oppressed. They can see that, but they will not come back to their Hindu.
Nobody is going to admit it publicly because there is this huge punishment for apostasy in Islam. The biggest crime, bigger than kufr, is irtidad, that is apostasy. Apostasy is the biggest crime in Islam, which makes a man what is called wajibul qatl. Wajibul qatl means that any and every follower of Islam can kill him without attracting any heavenly punishment.
And apostasy here means?
Apostasy here means, of course, they have a civic obligation not to do this. Because the country's criminal laws do not permit Sharia law, but if they had Sharia law applicable to them, it would not be a crime. Under Sharia law, killing an apostate is not a crime. So therefore, you do not expect and should not expect and should not even ask anyone. In fact, it is brave enough of him to come onto the open and challenge the elite. The first talk that I had with Fayaz Ahmad was titled Pasmanda Ki Zanjeer Taqleed. Anybody who understands Islam will understand what I'm talking about.
Namaskar.
Namaste.
Mine is an observation that
please.
Up till the 9th century, even in Afghanistan, we had Hindu rulers, and it was very much a Buddhist predominance by the 9th century. What I feel is...
We had Hindu Shahi kingdoms till 9th century.
Hindu Shahi, by the 9th century, it was predominantly Buddhist. That had come up. Hindus were there before that, and they were still there till the 16th, 17th century. But till the 9th century, they were ruling. The Buddhists were ruling, or the kings were aligned to that school of thought. What my observation has been that after Ashok, when he adopted Buddhism and propagated it on a very wide scale, we lapsed into a very complacent mood, not realizing that Ashok took up ahimsa when he had eliminated all opposition. Nobody had the strength to challenge him. So you could talk about peace and you could have a peaceful. And that continuity kept on in the later years also. And again, our philosophy or our thinking was that a dialogue is the best method. War is at the last resort, and you try all means of dialogues. And over the years, maybe personal gains by various rulers, you had Islam coming up, and Islam again is a very, very violent, in my thought. It is not a aggressive and violent school of thought which believes only in conversion, whether you agree with it or not. I mean, that is their main aim. So we have to fight that first. We have to become mentally very strong to stop that, and then only we can come up physically.
I broadly agree with you, but the point is that in order to be able to thought the idea, you have to first understand the idea, which I think our top leadership either doesn't understand or doesn't want to understand or doesn't want to articulate. One of the three, but the effect is the same. And this second part, what you observed is quite right, because this is basically a seeking what? It is seeking destruction of the universe, so that they could safely migrate, the elite that is, they could safely migrate to the eternal heaven, the Jannat. That is what the aim is. It says that, okay, let's say the world has to be first converted, and as soon as it is converted, then they are not looking for any great and prosperous empire or a peaceful existence in the world. As soon as it is fully converted, they seek to bring in the last day of judgment. So with that kind of nihilistic aim of this so-called religion, their position is very clear. So they've got to be violent. They will use any and every method, because all those guys are all waiting there in the graves to go to their Jannat. And all the Ghazis and everybody, the Mujahids and everyone, they are also all waiting to go to Jannah. So they have to destroy everything before they can go to Jannah. So destruction is a great incentive.
तो मेरे को आपसे एक सजेशन लेना था। तो जयपुर डायलॉग पे बहुत बार श्री तुफैल जी ने बताया कि इस्लाम और मोहम्मद के ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन के लिए अली सिनाजी की किताब अंडरस्टैंडिंग मोहम्मद एक रिलेवेंट बुक है। सर, अगर हमें क्रिश्चियनिटी के लिए इंट्रोडक्शन बहुत ब्रीफ चाहिए तो उसके लिए कौन सी बुक आप सजेस्ट कर सकते हैं?
क्रिश्चियनिटी के लिए तो बहुत कुछ अवेलेबल है. आई थिंक दैट इज एन ओशन, बट could probably read somebody like Kalavai Venkat. He's done some good work and written a book which is specifically meant for the Hindus.
There is a question from Avichal Raghuvanshi. टीवी सीरियल्स और मूवीज में जितना भारतीय संस्कृति को क्रिटिसाइज किया जाता है, उससे अधिक तो इस्लाम को करना चाहिए. क्या मीडिया वाले डरते हैं क्या?
बिल्कुल डरते हैं, 100%. इसमें कोई शक? सर तन से जुदा हो जाएगा 1 मिनट में.
संजय जी, मेरा फॉलोअप क्वेश्चन था कि you given the kind of experience you have and how closely you have looked into the Indian system of administration, what would be the steps in the right direction to arrest the growing dominance of these two, the unholy nexus that you can say?
No, enforce the rule of law as it is. That I was 3 months into my first posting as SDM Mount Abu. I had a communal flare-up, which I managed to control with great danger to my own life. And then the seniors came along to supervise, which they didn't need to because I had already controlled it. Well, then they said that, okay, the arrests seem to be lopsided. I said, I've arrested only those who created the trouble. Why should I arrest anybody from the other side who have not created the trouble? And in fact, when I asked them to stay back, they stayed back. There was a crowd of 5,000 on one side, Hindu crowd, and there were 200 Muslims who created the trouble. Look at the audacity. And they actually attacked the procession. It was simply, after an agreement, they were only saying Bharat Mata Ki Jai. And still they attacked them. So I arrested all the troublemakers. They said that no. So you arrested only one Hindu and you arrested 25 of these people. These are the people who were there right in front of me creating trouble and not honoring the agreement which they had entered sitting at the police station. So what do you want me to do? And they wanted to balance it out. I refused. So I was transferred.
सर, अविचल जी ने पूछा है क्यों डरते हैं मीडिया वाले? प्लीज बताइए क्यों डरते हैं?
ये तो मीडिया वाले ही बताएंगे. अब तो मैं भी मीडिया वाला हूं, मैं तो नहीं डरता.
आप भी मीडिया वाले हैं, आप भी मीडिया वाले हैं.
अब तो मैं भी मीडिया वाला हूं. नमस्ते, जय हिंद, वंदे मातरम.